think we're going to get straight on to the first demo. So I'd like to introduce NearNote onto the stage, please. Please welcome NearNote.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. My name is Will Hines, this is Matthias Link, and we are the founders of NearNote. Someone recently described the location-based services industry to me as follows. Check-ins are to location-based services what pokes were to Facebook, just the beginning. But what about today? What are the facts? The legacy news model is broken, and you can take this from someone who has a background as a freelance journalist. In the last year alone, 150 American news titles were shut down because journalists can't be on site fast enough and they cannot compete with citizen journalism. But on the other hand, corporate and nationwide attempts at hyperlocal news have also failed. AOL's Patch had $150 million worth of investment in 2011, 800 editors, and yet is only able to pull in 10 million uniques a month. Evidently, this model does not work at scale. But there is a clear demand for hyperlocal news, shown here in our own survey and also supported by industry metrics. With NearNote, we want to solve all these problems with one product, and we think we've done that with NearNote. We're creating a marketplace for aggregating, licensing content and searching for it between consumers, users, and large media providers. We want to hit that sweet spot between a great consumer product, but also a valuable business tool, and we think we have the dichotomy of that with NearNote. Our value proposition is broken down into 3 distinct strands. For hyperlocal bloggers, we allow them to promote their content and access people who are outside their local community. For big media providers, we give access to varied, timely, and relevant content, and we want to destroy churnalism, which is copy-paste journalism. As a byproduct of this, we're able to provide consumers like you and me with information which is locally relevant to them. The number of blogs being created each year is exponentially increasing, so we're not going to run out of content. And on the licensing side, it's a very stale market, which is open to disruption. And Matthias is going to tell you exactly how we're going to shake things up.
Yeah, thank you very much. As a use case on the campus, a couple of weeks ago, there was actually a bomb threat in Tottenham Court Road. So BBC News, Sky News, they've been too late to actually report about that. So me and Will, we actually just mainly found it in local media. And I'm going to show you now how actually NearNote would help journalists to find about local news and get automatically notified about local spikes. So you basically can type in the name of the location you'd like to just get informed about, or you take one of the featured one, in this case Tottenham Court Road. You get a news feed of social media content actually created around the location, both textual and visually, and live blogs. As a journalist, you can immediately license one of the news items, submit your bid, and the user get basically automatically notified about the bid, and he can accept it or reject it. On the technical side, basically, we're running MongoDB, Ruby on Rails, and for real-time experience, we're using the Push API. As we're speaking, we're actually just scraping 1,000 blogs in the UK, and we're excited to actually show you more in the following weeks. Back to Will.
Thanks, Matthias. So it's a convoluted market, but that doesn't mean that it's been done right yet, and we have a number of competitive advantages. First, our process is automated. We get there faster than citizen journalism. Secondly, we can undercut the really extravagant prices from companies like the Associated Press, who are overcharging for content which is not unique. And thirdly, there has to be a middleman in these kind of situations, and we want that person to be us. On the business model side, we focus on B2B, either through licensing or perhaps access to a premium API. We've yet to really work out the exact details of this. But in the future, we would also like to expand our proposition to include location-based analytics or perhaps location-based engagement. We've outlined a few risks that may be in our path, and we're going to mitigate them as follows. Lack of publisher interest is tackled through our personal networks and also through schemes like Nesta's Destination Local. Not enough content is tackled by having an automated process. We're crawling a database of hyperlocal blogs in the UK as we speak. And we achieve critical mass by offering our product for free in app stores and on the web from day one. Here's some brief financials supported by the following assumptions. Advertising CPM is increasing year on year following industry trends and is slightly higher than usual here because this is geolocated-based advertising. And our premium costs are in line with also companies like DataSift and Radius. We're a young team, but we have a lot of experience between the two of us. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in computer science at University College London, whilst Matthias has just graduated. But we've already worked for Y Combinator companies in the Valley, for IBM, for Wired, for Sky Germany, and we have a great advisory board for this project. As you can see, we're in quite a premature development stage, but we may be looking to raise some capital towards the end of the summer to aid bringing on some new experience, perhaps with algorithmic experience. We're in NearNote. We're going to fundamentally change the way that people approach the word local, and we're now open to any questions that the judges might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Awesome. So what do judges think? Bindi, let's start with you.
I hope this isn't too harsh a question, but why would people pay for your content? I mean, you're seeing a lot of people already up in arms about paying, more established sites. So why are they going to pay you?
It's not our content. We're the middleman between local blogs and large media providers.
I know, but still, why would they pay if they can go to a lot of those blogs? And, I mean, what is special about the product?
No, we're licensing the content to large media providers, so that's where our business model comes from. There's a byproduct is the fact that people can access the site, but really we want to put the spotlight on hyperlocal blogs, allow them to make some money out of their content.
So it's B2B.
Yes.
Gary, what do you think?
I like the idea. I can certainly see a market for it, and anyone that gives the big boys a run for their money deserves a bit of success. You need to make sure that you've certainly got a mechanism in not just to collect the money, but to pay the money. Yeah, and remember these guys, they're going to be provided, they're going to be your bread and butter. And if you don't pay them out on time and regularly in micropayments, they're going to dry up on you. And that's important. Just because you might get paid monthly from the big boys or people buying your content, you should pay them daily almost if you could. So, that's, if nothing else, a bit of advice. But I think the other thing is you just need to watch your pricing. I think that, we were just looking at that example, for a single feed like that, something like £15, it's still relatively expensive.
Okay, but if you look at the current model, so the Associated Press charges $2.50 per word. So, and also the main fact is that our content is going to be unique. So the Associated Press, what they're doing is they send out a boilerplate press release to 200 sites in one go. If you search the first line, the same article will come up on a number of different sites. So what we're trying to do is actually bring journalism back. We don't want copy-paste journalism. We want unique content which is varied and also reported by people who have been there. This is actual journalism.
All right, can I just ask one question? What do you see as an exit strategy?
Well, we're very early stage. We haven't really thought that long term. Maybe working with some of the media providers. We're in early stage talks with some of them, like BBC Futures and so on. But I don't really know in the long term, to be honest, what our exit strategy would be exactly. But perhaps having a database, moving down the path of providing hyperlocal news to consumers, because that's something which we're not quite ready for yet, but that's something that we would like. That's our long-term vision, really, is also for consumers.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
And before we get on, I think it's interesting about the sales cycle stuff. What do you think of that, which Gary mentioned about getting paid and having the recurring revenue?
Actually, I have a related question to that.
Oh, you do?
So, you mentioned in your presentation yourself that the space of hyperlocal journalism is littered with skeletons, going all the way 7-8 years. So what is your go-to-market strategy in aggregating bloggers, but also getting traction with some of the publishers?
As I said, using our personal contacts, we're working quite hard to get onto schemes like Nesta's Destination Local, which would allow us an easy route into people like The Guardian and so forth, because they are already trying to do this themselves, but it doesn't work. They're biased towards their own content. So someone else has to come in. I don't know if you've seen The Guardian's Notice, it's called, and they've just brought that out. So it's evident that this is still a topic that is on their minds, but I don't think that even the big publishers have worked it out. So personal connections, perhaps a scheme like Nesta's Destination Local, and I think that
There's actually also a BBC scheme that's launching this week, and I believe they're doing an event at campus on Friday. So
we should go along.
you should go to that.
Thank
It's
you.
sold out, but
We'll
let
work
me
it
know if
out.
you want an intro, because it feels like there'd be a good fit with what they're doing.
Thank you.
You should also probably look, there was a company called Feedster many years back that was trying to do a lot of stuff like this with the publishers, and look at some of the lessons they learned in that experience.
Yeah, as you said, there are a lot of skeletons. We're really trying to analyze all these different products that have failed and see what we can do slightly differently, but I think the local aspect is really what we're trying to
And
target.
last word of advice, think a little bit more about some of the competitors that are out there. I've heard of similar people out there. I won't say names, but I think you know who they are.
Yeah.
and very similar proposition. So.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it's really interesting because I was involved in the creation of the BBC News website in the early days of that. So it's a space I'm interested in. My question for you, if I may, is you're very focused on the UK, which is great in terms of starting off. Do you guys have like an international plan or dealing with content sites internationally?
Well, I mean, actually, we're looking this summer. Matthias is probably going to move to the US to start a push out there, and we have, as we say, working with Y Combinator companies in the Valley, and we already have quite a good network there, so that would be our starting point. But I think if we can make it work in the UK market, then we would want to scale, but we have to prove that it works here first. It's still quite an unproven model.
And just finally, do you want to just quickly mention the structure of your company, how many of you there are, and are you guys looking for funding?
Yeah, basically, two of us the kind of interesting thing in our team is that basically Will is just studying computer science, but he's doing the business side, and I basically studied business, but doing now the technical side, so it's really balanced our team, so we're just sharing our expertise. As Will said, we're just maybe searching for funding in the end of summer, but first we'd like to just prove our concept, and further also just maybe search for another place, maybe it's another engineer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Judges, do you have anything final to say? Any other words of advice? No. Well, that was NearNote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.